What's up guys, my name's Graziano and I'm a product photographer. So one of the things I've always strived to do with my product photography was to make my photos stand out. So 4 things that have always helped me to do this were adding texture, creating leading lines, attention to detail, and of course, lighting. But with limited resources, I'm only able to do so much. For example, I've been shooting with a maximum of 2 lights for probably the past 4 years now, and I've never really felt the need to use more than that. But in certain situations when an extra light might come in handy, I've learned how to finesse it in the edit with what I have. I'm sure you guys have heard this term before from a lot of other creators out there. It's because your edit is what brings your whole vision together, as long as you can capture all the supporting elements to do so. So last week I stumbled upon this cold brew by Lucky Jack Coffee. I've been really into drinking cold brew lately and the branding really caught my eye. I purchased it not even thinking about taking a photo of it, but after I got home, I thought to myself, this could be a pretty fun bottle to shoot. So I jumped onto their Instagram and website to get a feel for the brand, and I knew I could shoot something for them in my style. A few things I immediately noticed in their current bottle pictures were they all had condensation on them, and their pull tabs were all turned out to the side. So I knew this is something I wanted to incorporate into this shoot. And going back to one of my key points on what has helped me make my product photography stand out is texture. Using texture can really help set the mood as well as support the story that you're trying to tell through your photography. So one of the first things I grabbed was this black aquarium stand that I used on a previous project. Lucky Jack's logo has a pirate ship, which made me think of a dark rustic beach theme and buried treasure. Since I don't have any buried treasure, this dark black stand will help set the scene perfectly. The next thing I needed to incorporate was coffee. So I grabbed some coffee beans and started scattering them around the bottle and let them fade out into the foreground so that we didn't lose too much of that sand that I just laid down. This did 2 things for me. It showed me what the product is, and second, it acted as a buried treasure element like I mentioned before. Just imagine these coffee beans as gold coins. I felt like my scene was already starting to look pretty good, but I wanted to incorporate at least one more element, which brings me to one of my next key points, which is creating leading lines. I didn't have any nautical or pirate looking items on hand, but what I did have was some nice rustic looking rope. I didn't want the rope to pull away too much from the photo, but rather act as a supporting element in this image. So I made sure to set the rope up leading towards the camera so that I could use it as my leading lines, guiding my viewer's eyes straight to the bottle of cold brew. From there, I needed to pay attention to a few more key details to really help make this photo stand out. One of the main things I noticed on the bottle was that it was stamped with an expiration date right on the front. So instead of removing that in post, I decided to remove it by scraping it off real quick with a razor blade, which will make my edit much easier in post. Now that my scene is set, I can move on to adding in one more detail before I start shooting, which is adding that fake condensation onto the bottle. All you need is a spray bottle and some water to do this, or if you want, you can use a blend of glycerin and water, which will help your fake condensation drops stick to the bottle rather than have them run down the side or evaporate. For this photo, I used a blend of 35% glycerin and 65% water. I'm planning on compositing these photos in the final edit, so I don't want the droplets moving to different positions in each photo because I won't be able to perfectly line them in post. So once I was finished adding the fake condensation to my bottle, it's time to start setting up my lights and taking some photos. I'm still only using 2 lights for this photo, so I can use one as my key light and my second as my backlight, but I wanted to make sure I outlined the edges of this bottle to really help this bottle pop off that black background. If I set up both lights in front of the bottle, it will make the image appear really flat, so placing my second light as a backlight facing towards the bottle on both sides will help add a nice outline to this bottle. And this is a good example of when a third light would come in handy. As you can see in my first shot, only the left side of the bottle has a highlight. So if I take my second light and move to the right side and take another photo, now I have 2 photos I can use to combine together, which will make this photo seem like it was taken with 3 different lights. And if you look at the photos I just took, the front of the label has a hard fall off on the left side. So to fix that, all I did was take a white foam board and held it up so that I could properly expose that side to make the text in the bottle pop, which later I'll use as its own layer in Photoshop to really help this label stand out. So the last thing I wanted to do with this photo to really polish it off was to take a picture of the bottle with the pull tab turned to its side, just like the photos on the website. So I quickly turned the bottle to its side and took a picture so that I would have that element of the tab to work with in post. Now that I have all my pictures taken, I can start compositing my image together using Photoshop and Lightroom and be left with a photo like this. If you guys enjoyed this breakdown, I would really encourage you to hit that subscribe button because my next video is going to be a full in-depth editing breakdown of how I composite these images together. I'll even be including all the raw files in my next video so that you guys can edit along with me step by step. So now that you guys know how I like to shoot these photos by building each element that I need to composite my final image, my next video will be super helpful in teaching you how to composite all these images together using Lightroom and Photoshop. If not, then just like this video and let me know what your editing workflow is like in the comments below. I'm always super interested in hearing about how other creatives like to put together their final images, and I would love to hear about yours. But please stay tuned. This next video will be up here very soon, or maybe it already is. If so, make sure to check out the description below for the link to that video. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.